Well, very good morning, guys. Sir. Yeah, last day, what I was just talking, I was just been talking about I was explaining you about how to call an API from another project, different domain. If I only want to call from a different domain, what is the first important thing? You're required to enable the course policy. You need to enable the course policy. And once you enable the course policy, automatically you can just call. Okay, how to call I shown you. Array, basically the code to call from the same domain, the code to call from different domain is same only. Only thing is, when you call from same domain, we don't require to enable the course policy. And if you call from a different domain, we require to enable the course policy. Apart from that, there is no difference between calling from the same and calling from a different domain. Is that clear? So last class, what I said, I'll teach you how to call API from an MVC project. You can call from an MVC project. You can call from a Windows application project. You can call from a web forms project. You can call from a mobile application. Anywhere you can call, guys. Already, when I started the discussion in the Sunday, I explained to you about this one. A web API can be consumed from any kind of application. Yeah. Remember this picture? This is a web API. You can call from web applications. You can call from Windows Forms applications. You can call from mobile applications. You can call from anywhere. No issues. Okay. So today we are going to see how to call from a web application. Last class also shown you calling from a web application only. Calling from a web application client side. Today what we are going to see is calling from a web application server side. Means MVC code. Okay. So that's what exactly we are just going to see now. Let's see how to do it. In this process, I also want to show you, not only like calling, but I just also want to show you, like if images or anything there, how do you deal with them also? Okay, if you have any images or anything, how do you deal? How do you send? How do you receive? All these things we'll see. We'll create a new table in the database here, our database. Let us create a new table in our database. Student table, already we have a student table. That's way. What's a database? MVC DB. I'm going to create a new table, guys. We'll name the table as students ID, primary key, name, varchar, photo image, status bit. Simple. I just taken only 4 columns. Okay. ID, name, photo, and you know what is the unit of status. Okay. So that's what we're just going to create a simple table here with all the required columns. Okay. Let's create the table. Database MVC DB, right? Done. So empty table. Right now there's nothing in the table. Just now we created. I wanted to create an API. I wanted to create an API for performing CRUD operations on the table now. I want to create an API to perform the CRUD operations on the table. I'm not creating a new project here. Already we have web API service project now. In that we have 2 API controllers. What are the 2? Test, customer. Now I want to create a student. That's it. All of you watch this one. Now, you need to get the students table. You need to get the students table now. Carefully listen. Already we have configured our project. Already we have configured our project. Already we have configured our project with NT framework. Already we have configured project with NT framework, and the table what we used is customer table. Now what we want to use, students table. So if you observe, don't go for don't go for adding a new NT framework, NT data model again. Open the existing. Just watch. This is the existing EDMX file. What is present? Customer is present. Now you want to add the student. Okay. How do you do that? If you want to add a new table or anything new, what to do? Right click. You'll find an option called update model from database. Click on it. It opens you this window again. You know this window now? Now expand the tables. And here you must find the students table. This is the students table what I created right now. We have student, I created students. Click on finish. It created it with all the 4 columns: ID, name, photo, and status. See now, the new table also came in. Are you clear how to update your things now? Even I explained you this also. Tomorrow, if the table is modified, if the table has added with the new columns, if the table is added with the new columns, what you'll do? Then also use update model. Go for refresh. No changes are there. If any changes are there, it will show you whatever is updated. You can just use this option and also refresh. Am I clear? We can use this option and also refresh. So basically, did we do any changes now? No. Actually, 2 tables we selected here, customer student. Any changes were done? No. If any changes are done, you can select it and you can click on the finish button so that it will refresh with the updations. Got the point? New columns added. The column should come here. Then you should go for refresh. Okay. It's ready. What next? Create an API controller. Create a API controller. Create a API controller. How do you create? Right click on controllers tab. Add controller. What next? Select web API in the left hand side and choose API controller. And choose the API controller. Click on the add. What name I have given? Student controller. Student controller. Okay, student controller. What we'll do now? Now just go for importing the model namespace. What's a model namespace? Using web API service dot models. Then create the instance of the context class. What is the context class name? MVC DB entities. MVC DB entities. TC is equals to new MVC DB entities, and then you can write all the 4 or 5 methods. What methods? Get for getting all the students. Okay, get for getting single student. Next, insert, update, and delete. Insert, update, and delete. All these particular methods, we can just go for writing the code. Okay, so you know how to write the methods here. I don't require to give you any explanation for that. You can see this is my first method. Have a look. Get. What it gets? List of student. How do you write? DC dot students dot where Status true, dot to list. And next, single student. Single student. Student. DC dot students dot find method. You already know that also. Okay. Next, insert method. That is post. Already explained you. Written type is HTTP response message. Okay. And you know this. Setting the student. Call add method. Save changes. Return. HTTP response message. And here, just we are going to HTTP response message and throw HTTP response exception. What is that internal? I showed you in the last example to you. This is the same coding only. What next? Put method. Put method. Find. If not found, what do you return? Not found. Otherwise, assign all the values and set the state as modified, call the save changes and throw internal server error. Okay. Lastly, delete method. Yeah. Lastly, we have the delete method. Same code again. First we'll find it, otherwise return not found. Then status false, modified, save changes, and then status code internal server error. Okay now, so this is the same code what you just required to write up over there. Okay, done. We've just been implemented all the code. So the API is ready. Can you test it? You can test it, but unfortunately now table doesn't have any records. The table doesn't have any records. Second thing is, can't we test from Postman? You can test from Postman, but the problem is photo. I'm storing the name. I'm storing the binary. Binary. So it is not possible to convert into binary in Postman. Postman doesn't provide that option. If it is a text, I can, but the binary I cannot. So that's why we need to try it from our MVC application. We need to try from there only. Okay. So fine. So just perform this particular thing. Okay. So once you do that, yeah, everything is ready. Your API is ready. Your API is ready. Now I cannot test it. Now I cannot test it because there is no data. And nothing like you cannot test it. If you run that, no output will come. That's all. But testing is possible. But only thing is you will not be getting any output. That's all. Our main intention is calling from another MVC application. That's what exactly we want to do. I'll show you that. What's it, guys? API / student. There is no data in the table. See that? Calling, but there is no data in the table. That's why we did not get any output now. If there is any data, we'll see the output on the screen now. Point clear? Okay, done. So actually, what is our intention? We want to call it from another project. When you're calling from another project, what did I say? Two options are there to call. Option 1, jQuery Ajax. I already shown you yesterday how to call by using jQuery Ajax. Option 2, MVC. Alright. Any .NET application like a MVC application or a desktop application or a mobile, any application you can call. And our plan is to call from MVC. Okay. Let's try that, guys. Open a new MVC project. New project. Next. Name it as Web API Consumer. Yesterday we created a Web API Consumer project, remember? Web API Consumer 1. Now I'm saying Web API Consumer 2. Location, okay, same. Click create. Go for empty project. Okay, now I want to call it now. So what I need to do? I need to create one controllers, views, all these things. But what is the difference here? This is same as our previous MVC projects. In the previous MVC projects, you created controllers, views and all, now also same. But then the data is coming from database, but now the data will come from API. That is the difference. Last class I shown you, remember? See, in our previous examples, how did you build? When the client sends a request, it goes to a controller. Okay, this will internally, otherwise we'll see like this. Client interacting with MVC application will be loading the data from where the data will come? The data will come from a database. The data will come from a database. But now, client interacting with an MVC application, the MVC application will internally go to a web API service. This will contact the database. Means in our previous examples, we directly interacted with the database, but today we don't have access to database. Put that in the mind. We don't have access to database. So I should talk with API. I should talk with the API. API will talk with database. Guys, are you clear? So now our target is not a database. Our target is API. So tell me, in the project, in the new project, do I need entity frameworks and all now? Respond fast, yaar. Why you irritate? Do I need an entity framework now? Required or not? Not required. Why? Because we are not talking to database. Our intention is to talk with the API. And this API is already coded to talk with database. So in our MVC application, we don't have any database coding at all. In our MVC application, the code is only to call the API service. Okay. So our application is going to call the API service. That's all. It is not going to interact with the database now. Okay. Let's see how to do it. See, if at all you want to do this, if at all you just want to do this, what you require to do is, means to call, first you require to install a library. You require to install a NuGet package. So open the NuGet package manager, browse, and what is the NuGet package you just require to install is Microsoft dot Asp Net dot Web API dot. Last class we installed this one, guys. Web API dot course. Now it is Web API dot client. This one. A package adding support for formatting and content negotiation to something it will tell you. Okay, system.net.html. But this is the package. Microsoft.ASP.NET.WebAPI.client. Click on the install button. Okay. Accept. Okay. Done. So we just installed the things now. Now what to do? What to do? Just come here. Actually, I want to create a controller. If you want to work with a database, what do you do? First, you create a we use OR designer. If it is a link to SQL server, OR designer, link to SQL classes. Otherwise, entity data model. When you configure this, a OR designer or entity data model, anything when you configure, what happens here? Based on the tables, model classes will be generated for you in the code, and we use those model classes for view bindings. Correct? So when we configure with the NT framework, based on the database tables, model classes are created. That's what we know. And we use the model classes for view binding. View binding requires a model class now. But here, are we connecting to database? No, we are connecting to API. We are connecting to the API. And guys, remember, because you are connecting to the API, you need to define your own model classes first. You require to create a model class manually now. And you know how to define a class. I don't require to teach you how to define a class to you. Okay, let's define a model class. Right click, add class. And all of you carefully listen. Actually, my table has 4 columns, but my model class, because we always ignore status. Remember that? What we deal is only 3. What is it? ID, name, photo. That's it. So just take a class. What is the name? Student. Student. What we have? Public, int ID, get, set, public, string name, get and set, public, byte array, photo. Photo is binary. Binary is nothing but byte array. Get, set, done. Okay. So we just been created the project now, and ID, name, photo, all the things are added up. Okay. So this is my project here. Sorry, this is my model class. What next? The next thing is create the controller. Create a controller. We'll create a controller now. Okay. Just creating a controller. Right click, add controller. Let's go to add. We'll name the controller as student controller. Okay. Student controller. One thing remember, now API name is also student controller only. MVC controller name is also student controller. No problem here. That is in a separate project and this is a separate project. But just remember, your API controller, your MVC controller names are same now. What is the name? Student controller. So my student controller is an MVC controller, interacts with student controller. What is that? API controller. So both these two will talk with each other. Okay. So now we need to write up all the methods. Okay, let's write all the required methods. First thing, import the model namespace using web API consumer 1.models. You cannot create any context class here because there is no context class at all. There is no context class at all. I need to call an API. Remember, last class I explained you Ajax, the jQuery code to call an API. When you call a jQuery code, in that you have a URL attribute now. Or in the URL attribute, you're required to tell the URL whom to contact with now. And that URL is required for you in the get method, post method. In all the method calls, I need that URL now. URL is same or changing now? Same. See, if you write URLs in the CSHTML files, no problem. Why? Because you know that CSHTML files can be modified in the production. Text files can be modified. But if you write URL in the CS file, can it be modified? CS files cannot be modified once it goes to production. It's not easy. So for that reason, what I want to do is, I want to put this URL in the web.config file and read. I want to put the URL in the web.config file and read. So tomorrow if the URL want to be updated, you can directly go to web.config and update the URL now. So let us just go to web.config. And in the web.config under app settings, I want to put my URL. How? Add key equals to some key, guys, any key. Let me give the key as web API URL. The key name is web API URL. Okay. Next, value is equals to, what is the value? HTTP localhost web API service, web API service slash API slash student. Are you getting me? Or otherwise, I'm writing up to here only, guys, slash API. I'm not writing slash student. Why? Today you're calling student. Tomorrow if you want to call customer, are you getting me? I'm not telling the controller name. I'm telling up to here. Then what about the controller name? This controller name I will provide in my code. If it is student, you can call student. If it is customer, you can call it. But if I say student here, I'm restricting to student controller only. Again, if you want to call customer, again you require one more. So that's why I'm restricting up to here, API. The rest will, I'll dynamically pass. Okay. So this is the web API URL, what I'm using. The last example, we not created model class. In the last example, you did not call from C# at all. Why you're talking about model class? Did you call from C#? You call from jQuery. That doesn't require. Okay. Because there we don't have different views. When you call from jQuery, there is no model binding and all. But when you're calling from MVC, what you require is model binding. When you're calling from MVC, what you require is model binding. Web API authentications are not explained. It's out of the syllabus, even in .NET Core also. Okay. So you are just using that service here. We're just calling up. What next? Come to the student controller. Start writing all the action methods. The first method. You just require to write 5 methods now. What? Get students, get student, add student, edit and delete. Okay, not like 5. Get students, get a student, add student, get the add student, post, edit student, update student, delete student. You know all the methods, so you need to define all these methods. Okay, first let me put the signatures of the methods. I'll explain you the logic. Just first method, display students. Second one, display student. Second method is display student. Display student requires an ID. Next, HTTP get. Public view result. What's it, guys? Add student. We will fill on the code. Just hold on. Next, HTTP post. What's it? Public redirect to route result, add student, and you need the model class now. You need the model class. What is the model? Student model. Student. And the second thing is, when an image is selected, what do you require? HTTP posted file base selected file. For image, you need this parameter na? Posted file base. Next. What is the next one here? Edit. Edit student. Edit student requires a parameter. What is the parameter? ID. Next. Update student. For update student also, same parameters only. Next. Delete student. Public route result, delete student. What should I pass? ID. Just for the time being, return, redirect to action. What method should I call? Display student. students. And why I'm writing is until I write return methods will give you error. See, update student is giving error there. See why? Because you are missing the return statement. Okay, here what? Return view. Here redirect to route. Here a return view. Here a return view. Okay. Okay, here also I will now call. See, basically in the previous examples, your application is directly talking to database. So we used to write code, NT framework code, and get the students data and pass to the view. But now you're not calling the database. Remember what you require? API. Means your request should go to API now. And once the request goes to the API, from the API you need to read the values now. How to do it? Okay, just watch the coding, guys. To call an API, the first important thing what you require to do is you just require to go for you're required to first go for creating the instance of one class. Just like you created context class instance, here we need to create the instance of a class called as HTTP client class. HTTP client class. It is available in system.net.http namespace. System.net.http namespace. Is it imported? Faster. Is it imported? No. So see, when I just select that, automatically imported. See, that is automatically imported. Okay, HTTP client. I'll give the name of the class as client is equals to new HTTP client. Okay, creating the instance of the appropriate class, HTTP client class. What next? The next thing is you need to read the service URL from the config file. Read the service URL. How to read? String service URL is equals to, how to read from a config file? You need a configuration manager class. And for configuration manager, you are required to import system.configuration namespace. And that is also not imported, see. But when you type configuration manager dot, automatically imported. That is a new feature in Visual Studio, the latest version of the Visual Studio. When you type earlier, if you recollect, when you want to consume a class, we used to import the namespace first. But here it is automatically done in the latest versions of the Visual Studio. You write the class name, that's imported automatically. So configuration manager dot app settings dot get. What are the key name? I don't find any enthusiasm in you, lazily. You should be active here. I already said you, when I ask you, you're not able to respond also. Really boring teaching you. Lazy faces, you don't respond, you don't talk. If I ask you, your mouth won't open. Why you come to the class? Unnecessary waste of my time coming to the class and teaching to you. Open the mouth, otherwise it will be boring for me first. You put lazy faces, don't talk at all. Be active in the classroom first. Shall I also teach you lazily like you? Both of us will sleep in the classroom now. Okay. So first thing, you're getting the instance of louder. Which one? Which class I asked you? I did not ask you what is the instance name. What is the class name? HTTP client. Second step. Read the app setting. Read the app setting value. What is that? Service URL. You're reading the app setting value, service URL. Okay. Now let us write the code for calling this now. How to call? Who calls? This class will call. Who calls? This class is going to call. So because this class is going to call, you're required to do a setting now. Client dot is address. You're required to pass the address for the class. From where the calling should be done is equals to new URI. Basically, the base address property will take a value of type speak out. Otherwise, get out of the classroom. I'm telling you seriously. Louder. URI. What it takes? URI. So what instance I'm creating? New URI. What it takes is a URI, and I'm just going to create the new URI. And watch all of you. What is this taking? A string. What is that? URI string. So what you'll pass here? Service. So now this URL should be given to the base address of the HTTP client class. Should be given to the base address of the HTTP client class. That is the first thing you're required to do. Second, the second thing what you're required to do is client dot, you want to call a method now. What method? Getter, poster, putter, deleter. Which method? Get method. So there is a direct thing called a get. Get async. It's an asynchronous method. It is a asynchronous method. Get async. We just require to call client dot get async. Okay, and then you're required to just go for telling here the controller name now. This only I said you. Alright, let's not write the controller name there. If I write the controller name, we are again specifically sticking to that one. I did not write the controller name there. So here I can write. Tomorrow, if you want to call a customer, you can write customer. You want to call the test, you can call test. 3 API controllers are there for us. One is test, one is customer, one is student. So which one you want to call? Student. Get async of student. Okay, when I call get async of student, when I call get async of student, the request goes to the server. The request goes to the server now. Okay. And now once the request goes to the server, is a get method. It is going to get the data. It is going to get the data. And see the return type of the method. The return type of the method is a task. Task of, there from there we'll get a response message now. Task of HTTP response. So how do you do that? How do you capture it now? See, task of HTTP response message. Task of HTTP response message. What is the, some name? Get task is equals to. Array, some name here. You're giving the name as get task. Not imported. Should automatically import. Why it is not imported? Nothing here. The task they did not import. We know that namespace now. What is the namespace? You learned in C#, na? System dot threading dot tasks. The namespace is not automatically imported. Okay, task of HTTP response message. You're going to call the get task. So now you're calling a method get async. Get async. All of you remember. This call, when I make this call, a request goes to API now. A request goes to API. And once the request goes to API, we need to wait until the response comes, because after sending a request, understand, you're executing from the same project or different project. Once the request goes from this project, the other project has to send a response. The other project has to send a response. It may take some time. It may take some time. To resolve this particular thing, what you're required to do, you're required to call a method here called as client dot, get task dot wait. Get task dot wait. Get task dot wait. Recollect yourself. We learned about this particular thing in our multi-threading, as well as we learned about in the task parallelism also. In multi-threading, we call join, making it wait. So in task parallelism, we call wait method. So get task dot wait. So what will it do? Read the description. It is waiting to complete the execution. See, basically, when you send a request to another machine, the response may come in some time. So we need to wait for that time. Even with the database programming also. But never we called wait in database, because by default, connection class has a property called as a timeout. By default, the connection class has a property called as timeout property. Means when a request goes to database, it will wait for the response to come back. It will wait for the response to come back. I remember the default timeout is 180 seconds. That can be altered, but the connection class has the timeout property available, and the timeout means it will wait for that much time because the server may not respond immediately. The server may take time. If everything is executing on the same application, fine. But see, when I send a request from my application to database, when will the response come? Did you catch my question? When a request goes from my application to a database, when will the response come? Who knows? You don't know. Today you are working from local computer. Do you know? When you are working on remote computers, it will take a lot of time to load the data. It will take a lot of time to load the data. Sometimes response won't come. Why? The server is very busy. The response is not going to come. Are you getting my point or not? Okay, the response will not be coming. So in that type of scenarios here, in that particular type of scenarios, it will become a big problem. It becomes a big problem. Here, if you don't wait, you send a request to server for getting the data from a database. Without waiting, if you go to next step, there is no data loaded now. You need to wait. That's why by default, ADO.NET has that built-in mechanism. What is that? Timeout. It will wait for the time. If the response did not come in the time, it will show you an error telling you time expired. I'm not able to wait, exception will come. Telling you, array, time got expired. But in task parallelism, we need to do it explicitly. How? By calling wait. When you call wait, get, okay. The name I given wrong here, get a task. I think you're looking into the notes and there I used get a task. Okay. Get a task. Array name here, this is the name of the instance. Any name you can give now. That's not a problem. Get task.wait. Get task.wait. You're waiting for that now. You're waiting for the task to complete. And once the task is completed, see that will wait for the task to complete. Once the task is completed, next it will come to next step. Then it will come to next step where you're required to capture the result. Where you're required to capture the result. It is writing the code, see, automatically. What code has to return? It is showing you, see. Get the task dot result. When will you get the result? After the execution is completed. So that's why, see, just a minute. I sent a request here. I sent a request. Immediately it came to the next line. But response did not come. When response did not come, what will you show to user now? So you need to wait for the response. So you understood the importance of this line now? That will wait for the response. After the wait time is completed, means after the response comes back. After the response comes back, then I require to capture the result. How to capture the result? HTTP response message response is equals to get a task dot result. Get a task dot result. So where is the response? Sorry. Where is the result? Under response. The result is under response now. Okay. The result is going to be under response. And now you need to convert that into list format. You need to convert that into list format. Okay. Watch it, all of you. How do you convert this into the list format? Some name. HTTP response message. I'll say message. Any name here. No problem. Message dot content. The message dot content. You're referring to the content in the message now. You're referring to the content in the message. Dot read async. We are calling read as async. We are reading it now. We are reading it now. Okay. So just observe it carefully. Read that particular value. Now when you're reading that, you want to read in which format? How you want to get the result? Because the result is in JSON format there. How you want to get the result? You want JSON, huh? No, I don't want JSON. What do you want? I want a list. I want a list. List of student. List of student. Correct? Huh? So here you need to tell what type of result you want. I want to get the result as a list. List of student. List of student is what I should pass. List of student. Okay. Dot result. That is the code. Observe it again. Message dot content dot read async. In which format do you want to read? You want to just get, see, suppose you're getting a single student here. You're getting a single student. Simply say student. Sorry. Simply say student. But you're getting a student or list of students. List of students. So what should I write? List of student. dot result, dot result. Okay. And now see, dot, oh, spaces are added. Just a second. Dot, one more is missing. Okay. Dot result. All of you see, the result is which type? Got it? Suppose here, observe it. It is a generic. You know generic. When I specify generic, automatically return types and everything will change. Suppose if I remove list here, means I'm asking in which format? Student. Correct? Dot result. Dot result. Is which type? See? If it's a customer, customer type. If I say string, string type. Okay. But now you want in list of student dot result. You will be getting the result as a list now. Now tell me, can I capture it like this? List of students is equals to. Did you understand? Now where is the data? Students. The data is present in the students. Now pass it to the view. Array, rest of the code is same only. Only thing is, earlier we used to get the students directly from the database. But now you're not getting from the database. You're getting from a API call. You're just making an API call. And now you're going to get the result. And that result should be passed. So this is how you make a call to the API. How to call? First step. You require to create the instance of the HTTP client class and set the base address. Set the base address. Then you require to call a method. What is it? Get async. Guys, listen, like this we have post async, put async, delete async. Now we are calling get async. Okay. The return type is a task. The return type is a task. Task of which type? Response message. And I explained you 3 to 4 minutes about the wait method. What is the need of calling the wait method? Then after the wait is completed, result should be captured. You're required to capture the result. And once you capture the result will come to you here, which will be converted into the format you want. If I don't call this wait here, any error will come, error won't come. But if the result did not come on time, you'll see blank screen. Did you catch my point or not? If the result did not come on time, you'll see blank screen, sir. So wait for the result. For that call, gettask.wait. Call gettask.wait. It will wait now and it is just going to perform it. Okay now. Next method. Display student. Same coding guys. Same code. But only difference is you're just going to get the single value result. You're going to get the single value result. Okay. Just copy this code. Observe it. Copy this code as it is. Paste it here. A small change. What is the change? Student slash plus ID. That's all. Understood? Student slash ID. Where you are passing the ID. If you pass ID, how many records you'll get? 1 record. Second change is, the rest of all same. Second change. You are expecting a list of student or single student. So remove list of student here. Remove list of student. And your capturing should be done as a student. Understood? Everything is same. Only thing is, when you're sending the request, you need to pass the ID there. So that what you'll get is a single student. You'll be getting a single student now. What next? Add student. Nothing to write in add student. Return view only. That's all. When you want to call a add student, what do you do here? Add student. Return view. Simple. Nothing required now. Okay. Next. You have the next one. Add student. That is a post method. Here you need to write API code. Here you need to write the API code. Okay. Again. Observe all of you. Copying the same coding again. Copying the same code again. Come here. Paste it. Just paste it. Okay. I'll tell you, oh, sorry, not here, guys. I'm sorry, wrong place. Which method? Next method. Okay, I'll write the code. Just a minute. Before writing the code, we need to convert the image into binary value. We need to convert the image into binary value. Okay. What comes from the view? What comes from the view is ID and name. ID and name. Photo will not come. Photo will come as a HTTP posted file base. So first, let us deal with that. Means let us assign the photo also, the photo value also to the student. How to do? If selected file not equal to null, means if there is a value in the selected file, create the instance of the class. Which class? Binary reader br is equals to new binary reader selected file dot input stream. Guys, how to convert into binary? I already explained you in one example to you. Go and check it out. Which one? Categories, I remember. Categories, when I was working categories, how to store images in the binary format to the database, I already shown you. So binary reader br is equals to new binary reader. What is that? Selected file dot input stream. Okay. Next, student dot photo equals to student dot photo is equals to br dot read bytes. Read bytes. How many bytes to read? Selected file dot content length. All the bytes. Now see, from the model into the student, ID and name will come. And now if an image is present, I'm also assigning the image also now. Now tell me, the model has all the three values: ID, name, photo. All three values are present. Okay. What next? Now, the next thing is you need to call the service. Watch it. Same code I copy pasted here. Okay, same code I copy pasted here. I just copy pasted the same code here. Okay, just get a task and you're just going to pass the student. In a get, is a get task or post task? Louder. Post task. So just come here. Post task. Sorry, the method is post async. What does the post method take? What does the post method take? The post method takes the first parameter string URI. What is that? Student. Second parameter. What is the second parameter? The second parameter is HTTP content. We have overload methods here. Just a second. You see, this is also HTTP content. We have different overload methods here. And in one of the overload method, okay. One of the overload here, in one of the overload, you can pass an object now. You can pass a object as a parameter. So simply what you can do, pass the student. You're passing the model now, and this model contains all the three values in it. What are three? What are three? ID, name, as well as ID, name, and ID, name, and photo. I'm sorry. ID, name, and photo. Just watch it. Post async, error coming, error, second parameter is model, post async. I think the method name is different here. Post. Post as JSON async. I'm sorry. The method name is post as JSON async. Post as JSON async. So look at this. What is the second parameter? First parameter. Second parameter. Student. Are you clear? The second parameter is a student value. Okay, you can just call post as JSON async. I'm sorry, that is the method I should call post as JSON async. Now, shall I change this name to post task now? Same only here. Just only we are changing the name. Just like get task, now you're calling post task. Now also, post task dot wait. Post task dot wait. Tell me, okay, just now. Post task dot result. Post task dot result. Now tell me, what result will you get? Status code. The result is status code, correct? If, look, if message dot is success status code. Understand? Is means success status code means anything in the 200 series, 2 or 200, 201, 202, 203, 204, any of this particular thing is success status code. What you'll do? You'll be returning to the action method. You'll be returning to the corresponding action method. Are understood or not? Else. Else means failure. If it is a failure, you will be showing the same view back again. You'll be showing the same view back again, return view. Means here I cannot use redirect to action. What should I use? The parent. Array, this also explained you. If I use action result, I can return anything in my code now. Understood? Okay, now observe the code again. First line, you know, base address. Next, what is the method name? Post as JSON async. Post as JSON async. You're passing the data. Next, calling the wait method. Post as dot wait. Next, result. Result is a message. Now the message contains what? Lista? No. What it contains? Status code. That is what? If the message is success status code, redirect to here, otherwise return the view. Otherwise you're returning the view now. Yes, if you want to post any file, it should be converted to binary. That is your API controller name. Yeah, student is your API controller name. The get method or the post method, whatever it is the method, the student, what is student? My API controller name, which controller I want to give. Tomorrow if I say customer, it will call you customer controller. It is the controller name. What next? Edit. Edit. For edit, remember for edit, also we need a get request. Array, for edit also we require a get request here. So for edit, you can write the same code like what you have written in get student. You can write the same code like what you have written in get student, right? So just I don't want to waste the time. Let me copy paste. Edit. See, okay. Otherwise, I went there. I can copy from here only now. Yeah. For edit also we need to call get student, a single student. Okay. So call it. Put it here. One thing remember, this student should be passed to the view now, right? One thing remember, regarding photo, you remember photo value should be stored in a session or a temp data so that if photo is not modified, the old photo should go to database. Correct? And I shown you a number of examples to you about it. Observe. If student or photo not equal to null, otherwise session of photo is not equal to null. Just passing up the values. Just a second, please. Delete. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So this is going to perform your edit operation. What next? Update. Array, when you're updating, what will you do, guys? For update also, it is the code is something like an add. For update also, code is like add only. But just minor changes, let me copy. First, if there is no selected image, sorry, if there is a selected image, we'll take. Otherwise, if session of photo not equal to null, if session of photo is not equal to null, what will you do? Student dot photo is equals to byte array of session of photo. Session of photo. Okay. Listen, I'm writing else part. Else student dot photo is equals to null. Array not required. By default, if you don't have a value, null only will be there. Okay. Not null, empty string will be there, but I'm changing to null, that's all. Array, what will be there? Empty string, but I don't want empty string. What I want to store is null. So I change it to null. See, for insert we need only if, but for update we require is else if also, because if there is no photo, I need to pick it from the session. Okay. Now come back. Next, this is same again. What now? Put as JSON async. Put as JSON async. Same again. Student. What will come? Put a task. That is our own name here. No issue to that. Next. Put a task dot wait. Next. Put a task dot result. Put task dot wait. Put task dot result. Next. If it is success, display. Failure, the same view. If it is a failure, you need to show the same view. And don't forget, when you are showing the same view, you also require to pass the model there. You require to pass the appropriate model. But this is giving error because what should I use? Action result. What I should use is action result. This will perform you an update operation. Finally, what you have is only a delete. Finally, what you have is only a delete. Same code here. For delete also, the code is same. Look. Observe it. Just see. Oh. Why done this? Client.base address is equals to new URI. Oh, wrongly printed in the notes. No need to type all these things because anyhow you are reading from the config file straight away. You can read. In the notes it is wrongly printed. Please correct it. For the delete task, I typed the complete URL there. Not required. What to put? Simply put the service URL there. That's all. It's a mistake. What next? The method name. Delete async. Student slash ID. Wait. Result. Success. Display. Else. Return view. So here I should change to actions. I need to change to the action. Now add all the 4 views. What are the 4? Display students, display student, add student, edit student. Okay, come on. First, display students, add view. No difference in the view creation. Why? Array, my controller will call the API and send me the lists. So view creation code doesn't have any API calls or anything because view doesn't talk with anything. View will talk only with the controller. It is the controller responsibility to contact the view and get all this information. So view creation code is as same as what I explained you in the previous examples. Okay, table format and everything. Why it is taking this much time? What happened? Something wrong here. Not responding, taking time. What happened? Why? Holding taking a lot of time. Yes, even the API is written in Java or somewhere also you can call in the same style only. Because basically we are not pointing to anything, any code there. We are calling a service. The service will send the response as JSON. When you get the response as JSON, which application you are working, that doesn't matter at all now. Did you understand my point or not? Because you are going to get it as a JSON from where you're working, that doesn't matter at all. Okay? What happened? Let's stop it. And then I'll lose my complete code. Something wrong with Studio. And It saves, fine, otherwise I'll lose all the data. Consumer. Website saved. Saved. No issues. Oh, it's the wrong thing here. Save. Right click. Add view. MVC 5 view. Added. Where is it? Not there. It added the view. Don't know why it has taken that much time to load. Okay, no issue. View creation. Let me copy paste all my code. Next one. Display student. Add view. Okay. Why wrong view? We right click on display student only, na? Yeah. Display student. Next, two more. Add student. I would not write the model on the top. At the rate model, web API, consumer 2 dot, models dot, student. What next? You have to generate a view for edit also. Add view. Add view. Next. For delete, did I create two action methods? Huh? No. No. Just for delete, generally we don't add a view for delete now. Suppose if the delete operation failed, view should launch. Or if the delete operation is successful, okay. If the delete operation failed, view should launch. For that, I'm adding a view for delete also. But when will this view come if the delete is a failure? When will the view come when the delete is a failure? When the delete is success, it won't come. So what I'm writing in that, just observe it. delete student action resulted in an error. Are you clear? If it is a success, fine. Yeah, if it is a failure, then only this view will launch to you. Which method to run first? Display students. Oh, not copy paste here. Oh, yeah. Someone said wrong code. Yeah, understood. This is wrong code. I pasted it in wrong place. Layout page I posted off. You understood now, yeah. Who said that wrong code? Yeah, wasted all the time. You're done. You can run the display students now and you can test. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, everything works as it is now. You can just perform insert, update, delete everything. Only thing is, we are not working with a database now. You're working with a API. You're working with an API. Your request goes to API. Your request is not going to the database. Run and test it. Everything same works as it is. Is that clear? You can just test the appropriate thing. I'm stopping it here. We'll meet tomorrow. Yeah, basically, actually, well, here MVC course means here finished here, but here we have MVC core. Tomorrow I'll start with MVC core. From tomorrow we are just going to go into MVC core. Okay, MVC 5 is done. We'll look into MVC core tomorrow. Okay, let's stop here. We'll meet tomorrow. API read data only HTTP get from MVC application, reuse the data and other application post.